Doug Kide from NESN.com here at the Mall of America with Zach Cox and Matt Chatham for Between the Tackles. And we've got Super Bowl 52 just around the corner. We got still a little bit more this week to go, hanging out in this big old mall. But yeah, not a lot of newsy items so far today, but the big one last night was that Rob Gronkowski said that he expects to play in this game. Obviously, this makes a big impact in this game, but I'll just start off with you, Matt. How big of an impact?
Well, one of the things that popped on my mind initially hearing that, now imagine myself if I were still playing years ago, as a linebacker, that's who you're opposite. And in a practice week, you really understand how important he is to the organization, right? So there's sort of this fine line that you have to walk, and the coaching staff will communicate this to you. He's got to get prepared for game day. Recovery from a concussion isn't just sit in a dark room, become symptom-free, and then show up at game time. You got to get hit again and make sure that you can withstand that and not have symptoms the next day. So it's a very important week for him to go out and bang a little bit. They're in full pass today, so the idea that you need to challenge him, and it actually helps him. You're an outside linebacker, you're a defensive lineman. He's going to have to block the Coxes of the world, the linebackers, Kendrick's flying off the ball. There's going to be big collisions, and you don't want to be the first time where you know if you're okay or not to happen on Sunday in late afternoon. So that's super important. You need to get the work in. It's not just, the scab healed, I'm good to go. You get that first 20-yard seam route and you get blown up and then you're out for the game. And that's usually the thing that bothers coaching staffs the most. When they know a guy has an issue, they don't want to build a game plan, spend a week working on something and have no one touch him all week in practice, like he's breakable or something, like glass ballerina kind of thing, and have something go down. So when you hear him say, I think I'm going to play, I'm good to go, it's because he's being tested. He's taking those collisions. It's very important to do it by the time you get to Sunday.
I think it's definitely a good sign, too, that he has been back at practice he practiced basically all of last week almost. He was back out there today. We didn't get a chance to watch practice, but we did see from the team's Twitter account that he is out there in full pads. We haven't gotten confirmation that he's cleared concussion protocol or anything like that yet. But yeah, the fact that he was even at the event where he gave that statement that he expects to play. The fact that he felt healthy enough to hang out in a mall playing Madden with LeGarrette Blount and hundreds of fans around him. If they felt good enough about his mental state and everything to be out there, it's definitely a good sign.
Gronk did get smoked by LeGarrette Blount in that game. Apparently, we had some reporters on the scene there, friends of ours, and Gronk doesn't play too many video games. I think LeGarrette Blount spends a lot more time doing that. And I thought it was just interesting that he announced it in general, but that's kind of the way that Rob Gronkowski does business. He's not like other players and even other guys like Malcolm Brown said he was playing in the Super Bowl last week despite his injury. So that's just kind of how things go here around the Super Bowl. One thing for the Patriots defense, everyone's talking about run-pass option, RPO on the Eagles. This is something the Patriots did struggle with a little bit against the Chiefs in Week 1. Struggled with it a little bit despite the win against the Jaguars as well. So, how do you defend it? What do they have to do? Can they make adjustments in this game?
So one of the things I always revert to when these conversations come up, it's more of a college reference, and that's because RPOs are heavy in college. I do my ESPN stuff in college, cover college football during the regular season, and this kind of stuff is very prevalent there, less so in the NFL. You may hit it once out of every 4 weeks. It's not that it completely doesn't exist, but every organization isn't doing it down in, down out. What helps you the most when you have to go against a team that'll employ that stuff is that extra week. Why? Because it's just so assignment-based. Once you know what you do and you don't, they say take the bait. You just don't lean a little too much to the quarterback when you have the pitch, or you don't widen too much for the pitch when you have the quarterback. It's just once you get your assignments tuned in, you're good to go, and it's really easy to defend. But the problem comes when you get a normal game week in the NFL, where Sunday happened, everyone goes home and rests on Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday you show up, you get 2 sort of full practices and a Friday, and then you play a game. You get 2 full weeks against RPO, and I think everyone generally feels comfortable.
Yeah, we talked to Trey Flowers about this last week. He said it's difficult to defend RPOs because you almost have to go against your instincts sometimes. You almost
do your rule.
Things that would normally work in a normal situation against a non-option offense. That's exactly what's going to get you killed against an RPO team. So like you said, the 2 weeks to prepare for this, the fact that they have seen it a couple times already this season is definitely going to help them.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that also helps them is just the fact that Nick Foles is playing rather than Carson Wentz. Nick Foles is not nearly as athletic as Carson Wentz, and I think that's why so many people are favoring the Patriots in this game as well, because Nick Foles is not Carson Wentz.
Well, one thing to mention here too with the RPOs, I think if you're talking about the Chip Kelly version, or thinking back to Mariota or something like with him collegiately, there's 2 sides of the RPO. The run pass option is the acronym. Sorry if it to make that clear, but the idea of whether or not he's going to hand it off or run is one angle, and like you said with Nick, that's out the window, but that doesn't mean it's dead.
Right.
It's run-pass option, so it's was it that, or then he hits an immediate slant on the other side, or a quick pass option. So it's still alive, it's just that third leg of it's a little less serious, but you saw it a lot actually in the week ago against Minnesota, where one thing that I would say, beyond just if the quarterback option or pass happens, they were getting tremendous push up front. Double teams moving their defensive linemen from Minnesota 5, 6, 7 yards down the field. So at moments when that's happening, you kind of forget about the RPO.
Right,
it's really not that important at that moment. Then you just, oh, screw it, we're just going to run it down your throat. So I say that the Patriots have to stop the base run first. Then you worry about that other stuff. Then you hone in on the coverage aspect of it.
One thing the Patriots offense can do in this game that the Giants actually had success with against the Eagles was run some hurry up against the Eagles defense. I think that certainly helps, keep Eagles players that they might not want on the field for long stretches. I think that's something the Patriots have done really well actually as of late. They went away from the hurry up for a while. It's kind of come back on. So do you expect that to be a heavy part of the game
plan?
Could
be. So the Eagles are very heavy tendency based. There's someone that I would have really enjoyed studying when went back in those days, because as a linebacker unit, you really start to figure out when teams like to do certain things. And if it's going hurry up, as you mentioned, if things are going fast, you don't have time to disguise and think about it. And one of their real heavy tendencies is that they love to pressure on third and shorter. So they get into 3rd and 2s and 3rd and 4s. They like to bring that fifth guy as an extra run defender. And then he works out great on pass because it forces the ball out quickly. But if you know that and you're moving quickly, it's easy to pick up the blitz. Tom gets it out of the hand and you roasted. So I like the idea of hurry up. I think it would work well against this team.
We've talked all week, too, about how deep this Eagles defensive line is. Probably the deepest in the NFL. Depth doesn't really matter when you can't sub because the other offense is going hurry up. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that will certainly be a big part of the Patriots' game plan. It might also just be to get James Devlin on the field to allow yourself to pass the ball against the Eagles' base defense. Maybe even some 2 running back sets with James White and Deion Lewis and Rex Burkhead, or Rex Burkhead and James White. Got all those 3 combinations in there.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that too, because by virtue of going fast, you sacrifice a lot of the ability to substitute yourself. So it's like people often think, just go up tempo. Well, part of what makes the Patriots so great is they have that Pro Bowl fullback. They have a 2 tight end set that works pretty well. They have a 3 and 4 wide receiver set that works well. So it's not just by virtue of going fast, we got you. You also sacrifice something yourself. So it's not, in the moment that they go fast and don't get much from it, slowing it down and using all your multiple packages, that's an advantage they usually have as well.
Definitely. Well, thank you guys for joining me today on Between the Tackles. It's a good time. It's Wednesday now. We still got, like I said, quite a few days until the Super Bowl, but keep it on NESN.com for all of your Patriots coverage leading up to the game, onto the game, and watch NESN to check out Matt Chatham all week leading up to the Super Bowl.